Senator Orwoba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to support Senator Karen Nyamu's statement of the inquiry of deaths in schools. Mr. Speaker, I think this conversation needs to be moved to another level, and as much as you will refer it to the Committee on Education, I think it's actually time we come up with a bill so that we can focus on how to deal with deaths in schools as from a legal perspective, Mr. Speaker, because it's not only in Kimathi Primary, Mr. Speaker. We have so many that are unreported. Just the other day in Arap Moi Primary School, we had children who perished in a boat accident. They had gone for a trip. And those kind of incidences we need legislation. We need to find a way to ensure that when there are school trips, when there are engagements with the students where duty of care has been moved from the parent to an institution or to a third party, there has to be legislation around it. Mr. Speaker, we also have different types of death. I have spoken about the death of Jacqueline from Bomet County, the girl who committed suicide because of period shaming. That in itself is also an incident that it still falls under deaths in school or surrounding circumstances within the institution. So I think as much as this is being referred to the Committee of Education, perhaps we need to look into how we can legislate on that. Mr. Speaker, I also want to support the statement on citizenship status for foreign persons. Mr. Speaker, I know it is coming from the interests of Taita Taveta, where we have many foreigners, Tanzanians, who are married to locals and then are staying in Kenya and are therefore seeking for government services. But when we're looking at this matter, I think it should also be broadened, because we have the case of those genuinely looking to get their citizenship status so that they can access government services. But we have cases where we actually need to control foreigners who want to come in and then just get citizenship for whatever reason, for purposes of doing business and not wanting to pay the fees on business permits and things like that, or for purposes of acquiring property and things like that. And also, Mr. Speaker, on that particular matter, I just want to say this. When a Kenyan goes out to get married in a foreign land elsewhere, it is not as easy as we are trying to do it. They don't just get citizenship status anywhere. Go to Europe, Mr. Speaker. You are subjected to understand the culture, the history, the language. They have even created jobs in terms of teachers, because as a foreigner, you have to go sit for classes, learn the language, and once they really truly believe that indeed you have the best interest of that country at heart, is when you are granted some form of paperwork, residency or citizenship. So as much as we are also trying to make it easy for these foreigners to get government services, we should also ask ourselves, how are we preserving, for instance, our language? Mr. Speaker, this is probably why the Swahili language is actually just disappearing, because we have foreigners coming in. They don't want to learn the language, they don't want to learn about our history, they don't want to learn about our culture. This is why we have a lot of issues in terms of our culture and our beliefs and principles being corroded, because we are simply just handing out documents without really interrogating what the end game should be. So, Mr. Speaker, as that particular statement is being looked at, I am going to kindly ask the Senator to just peruse through a bill that I'm fronting in this House, Swahili. It's a language bill, Swahili for immigrants, because in that bill is also so many answers that we need to address in terms of the preservation of our culture and the preservation of our beliefs and our the history, for people to also understand and want to be Kenyan, so that we are not dishing out these documents just to the highest bidder. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mariam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I support